Hello, this is Anthony. Let's walk and talk. Today I find myself in Quito, Ecuador. As you can see, I'm in the park. It's an incredible park, beautiful. Quito's a beautiful city. I think as I've gone through and experienced, the things that the world has had to offer, I've learned so much, not only about the world, but about self. And it's been an amazing thing. In and of itself has been an amazing journey. And so today what we're going to talk about is the value of saying no. And why no should be able to become a complete sentence in your vocabulary. You see, I, like many people, especially on the spiritual journey, have, started out very much as a people pleaser. Very much as someone who couldn't say no, never said no. It was yes to everything. And the yes to everything was because, I felt the call and desire to be of service. And, in that call and desire to be of service, it didn't matter what the need was. If someone reached out about, needing help moving, if someone needed help about reaching out about, needing help on a project or a home improvement or, even wanting to hang out, the answer was always yes. But what I have discovered on my journey is that the problem with saying yes all the time is it got to a point for me where saying yes to someone else was saying no to me. And, now that I've had the opportunity to have a better experience on the all, I understand things better. So if you've struggled with this, let me explain to you a few things that might help you on your journey with this incessant need to always say yes. No needs to become a complete sentence. Because when someone asks you for help, for me it was always, I would say no, but I had to give a valid reason as to why the no was there. And what I finally discovered about self was that when I had to give the reason for no being there, I was justifying why what I had to say no to, why I had value. And I recognized that by saying no, what actually was occurring was I was actually showing the world my value, creating value in self. Not only in my relationships that I existed in at the time, but in new relationships. Because no means that your time is valuable. No means that you are valuable. No means that you prioritize self over all other things. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't say yes to anything. On the contrary, what it actually means is that when you choose to say yes to something, you're choosing to say, I have the mental capacity, the physical ability, and the time to give you my all, 100%. Meaning that when I show up, I don't need to show up with a telephone, with my face in the phone. I don't need to show up thinking about other issues or other things. I don't need to show up not present. And what I discovered is that was very important, not only for me, but for those around me. It was very important. And it was very important because then when I said yes, I became and offered the fullness of who I am, for whatever that was. Versus before, when I would say yes, let's say I had something going on mentally that I was really working through, I wasn't present. Or let's say I had something going on, physically, like I was exhausted and I was there to help move. I couldn't really perform in the manner in which I wanted. I couldn't really assist and help in the manner in which I desired because I wasn't physically capable. You know, there's a multitude of reasons why. You know, a lot of times in the past I should have said no. Even from the aspect of someone asking just to hang out. You know, when I would say yes because I wanted to connect, I would recognize that, you know, even in those moments, I couldn't be the best version of self because my mind might be elsewhere, or I might have things that I needed to work through, and showing up to just hang out didn't allow me to be the best version of me. You know, and I think it's important to understand this because, you know, anytime you're going to, you know, put yourself aside and your needs aside, and I believe you should. I believe that is a very honorable and loving and wise thing to do in life. However, putting yourself aside and not wanting to assist just because you don't want to show up for somebody else, that's the ego. That's the selfish aspect. Okay? So, no needs to be a complete sentence. Whenever someone asks you something and you say no, it doesn't need to come with an excuse. It just needs to come with, hey, I can't do that. I'm sorry, I can't help you this time. One of the things I've also learned on this journey is that every time I would say yes, but I had things going on in my life, it would feel more like I was just trying to please someone else, and I was willing to please them over my own happiness. And then what would happen is, and maybe you'll be familiar with this, then what would happen is I would start to begin to have expectations. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is I would have expectations of the type of gratitude that I would expect when I went to help others do things. Like, so let's say I dropped everything to help someone move, but I was completely exhausted, or I had helped them for, 12 hours a day before, and my body was just shutting down, but I was up trying my best to give 100%. And knowing myself, my 100% is 100%, where others 100% might only be 70%. Mine's 100%. And in that, I would have expectations of how much thanks I should to get, how much gratitude I should receive from giving my yes and showing up to give my effort. And when I started to notice that, then I started to recognize, wow, I'm not being, I'm not accepting the gratitude of the people who are there to help me, and I'm in a position where maybe I'm even starting to actually resent. Sorry, dog's out playing in the park. I might even be starting to resent being there, or I might be starting to resent the fact that I didn't say no, or I might be starting to, not be there for the right reasons. And this would bring up feelings inside of me, feelings of not feeling appreciated by the other person because they didn't show me the gratitude that I potentially expected them to show me because of what I chose to do, what I chose to put aside to be of assistance. Now, I can tell you on this journey, for someone who desires to serve, that is not a good feeling. And it's not a good feeling because that is a feeling and aspect of ego. And, that is one of those types of situations where I don't want to help out of ego. I don't want to feel gratitude out of ego. I want to feel it out of energy. I want to feel it from my being, from my soul. And so it became ever evident to me that, again, by not saying no, and by being a people pleaser, and by always saying yes, that I was putting my needs and myself aside. And on top of that, I was starting to feel internally some sort of a way about what I was doing. And then that, in turn, would affect the relationship that I had with those beings. It would also affect the relationship because there was a sense of not feeling appreciated any longer, because they knew that all they had to do was call me and I would say yes. So I was always the first number on the phone, because they knew I would say yes. They knew I would show up. They knew I would give 100%. They knew my 100% was 100%. And so my time became less valuable to other people because I allowed it to be less valuable to other people. My time became unimportant because I allowed my time to become unimportant. I began to feel unappreciated because I allowed myself to begin to feel unappreciated. And that's when, you start to learn and understand that all these things have much more to do with you than someone else. But what say you? How do you feel about that? I'm curious as to your thoughts on no being a complete sentence. As always, if you enjoy this content, please like, share, and subscribe. I am truly grateful. And until I talk to you again, peace, love, light. I hope you have the most amazing day.